Hey everyone, I'm Luis Chavez, and welcome back to the ninth episode of the Career Blueprint. Today I am joined by David Zappe. David, first off, congratulations on graduating from CUA, and thank you again for taking the time to be here to share your insights, man.
Thank you so much, Luis. Really happy to be on here today, and excited to get started here.
Yeah, great. So before graduating, David was a finance major, a club ice hockey player, a Cardinal Fund teaching assistant, previous private equity intern at Changebridge Growth Partners, previous Investor Center Intern at Fidelity, and finally, he's heading back to Fidelity this summer as a full time financial services representative. David, congrats on all your success, man.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank you once again for taking the time to join me here today. And let's have a good session.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, so without further ado, let's get into the questions. So, David, you're moving on from an investor center intern to a financial services representative at Fidelity. What was the strategy you implemented for your internship that made Fidelity want to keep you on full time?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Yeah, so I think first and foremost, as an intern, you want to make a really good impression amongst your peers, and I think the best way to do that is to, show up every day,
Mhm.
show up early, show up with a smile on your face. Just be open to learning. So the internship at Fidelity was a 10-week internship, 5 days in office, and there wasn't like a strict, you know, idea of what you had to do. That there wasn't like the program was very loose in the sense that it's mainly a shadowing mentorship type of
Mhm.
internship. So
Oh, wow.
what you
Okay.
put in is what you get out. So it's a lot of just going and asking questions, asking the advisors to sit in on meetings and to
Mhm.
just be interested. So my strategy going into it was to just be, open to learning, open into listening. Um, didn't really have any true expectations. Um,
Mhm.
just be friendly, network. I think that's the most important thing about, wealth management is that it's a people business first and foremost,
Mhm.
um, above the analysis and actual finance fundamentals. So just showing that you can, converse with these people was huge. And so that was my strategy. And I really enjoyed that lifestyle, going in 5 days a week,
Yeah.
showing up early. I think that was really key. Um, but yeah, I think that was my strategy was just to be open, just to be authentic.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. So actually, how did you find out about your internship, like, and how did you network, and maybe how was the recruiting process like?
Yeah, so I've always known about Fidelity. My parents are previously Fidelity clients,
Oh, wow.
so I've always known it's a great company. They've treated us very well. And so when I decided to be a finance major,
Mhm.
they were always kind of up there in the top list of companies that I'd love to work for one day.
Mhm.
So while I was in school, my freshman and sophomore year, I connected with a few Catholic University alumni through LinkedIn that were
Mhm.
working at Fidelity. One of them was Thomas Herber, and another one was Sean Ford, who
Mhm.
graduated 2 or 3 years ago now. And they both work in a similar area of wealth management. And
Mhm.
I figured it would be great if I connected with them and to have a coffee chat, learn about the recruitment process from them. And
Mhm.
basically, they told me that you know like just be yourself, try to work on you get have a good GPA, make sure you do lots of extracurriculars. Fidelity just likes people that are outgoing and just taking
Mhm.
care of themselves and being authentic. So I learned a lot from those coffee chats, and the application process was actually a lot smoother than I anticipated. Um, a lot of people talk about getting referrals and getting pushed through
Yeah.
the application process that way. And so I was able to get a referral from Thomas Herber,
Mhm.
who was very, very, very grateful for that. Um, and so along with that referral and the application that I just put in, I guess I just, was seen by the recruiter. Um, and yeah, I guess the rest is kind of history, but it was
Yeah.
nothing too crazy. There's no secret, so I just networked that way through local alumni. And I think that was really key.
Yeah, that's very, very simple thing to say, but it's most definitely reaching out to alumni. I've heard, yeah, it's really, really helpful. And getting that referral was really great. That's amazing for you. Congrats on
Absolutely.
that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So before graduating, you spent 10 hours a week on the ice with the club hockey team. What is one specific lesson from a high pressure game that helped you stay calm during maybe a high pressure interview at Fidelity?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to think of one moment. There's so many stressful moments in hockey. So I'm a goalie for the hockey teams, or was a goalie for the hockey team, and that's known to be a somewhat stressful position because you're playing 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, the game is kind of on your back, so there's a lot of moments where you're feeling pressure, especially when it's at the end of the game, near the end of a game, or it goes to overtime,
Hmm.
and stopping that next shot is just the most important thing. Um, so I'd say a specific moment that I could attribute maybe to having a one-on-one conversation with a hiring manager would be, I guess we were playing a game against the University of Maryland this
Hmm.
season. It was a playoff game, and the game ended up going into overtime, tied 3-3. We haven't won a
Yeah.
playoff game. I don't think the program's won a playoff game in 6 years or so. So
Oh,
there's a lot
wow.
of pressure there, and
Uh-huh.
we've come so far. Um, just a lot there,
Hmm.
and so I think just the will to win, to be able to just like shut off the noise, just focus on the job at hand,
Hmm.
um, and also just to have fun. Like I just that's what helps me get through the stressful moments, at least in hockey and also in work too, is just finding the fun in that, accepting a challenge, embracing the difficulty and the nerves. Um,
Hmm.
so that I think hockey's given me a great outlet to practice those skills and those virtues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just be calm, take a deep breath. Only focus on what you can do. You can only try your best there, and the other five guys in front of you, they're going to do their job.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I learned a lot from that game, and my 4 years as a hockey player in general really shaped me, into a better person and a better businessman.
Yeah, that's great. And what are you most looking forward to now that you're up for your upcoming role as a financial services representative?
Yeah, so that's going to be really cool. At first the job is going to start with me studying for the Series 7 and the Series 66 exams, which
Hmm.
are the two top off broker exams. So for the first 6 months, there's not going to be a whole lot of interacting with clients, I'd say. It's going to be me kind of just focusing in on my studies. But I'm
Hmm.
excited to obtain those licenses because once you have those, it opens up a whole world of possibilities. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited to get those, and then also I developed some great relationships with my coworkers over the summer during my internship that I'm just looking forward to seeing again. It was such a fun and vibrant office environment.
Hmm.
Excited to see those people again and to spend time. Um, but yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's great. Also, I mean, Fidelity with me, even I actually have a brokerage account with Fidelity, so I'm very I'm mostly I'm kind of biased towards Fidelity over any other brokerage. So it was just great
That's
seeing that you
awesome.
worked there. So it's gonna be amazing. Yeah, man.
Of course, man. I hope they're treating you well.
Oh
A
no,
great
they are. Yeah,
company,
it's really good. It's a nice, smooth process every time.
yes, very good. Very good.
So a lot of students talk about taking the SIE exam, but you actually did it and passed.
Mhm.
So what was the most unfiltered part of that study process that surprised you the most? And maybe
Yeah.
also, what was the hardest part of the SIE exam?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I would first of all recommend taking the SIE to anybody, whether you're a finance major or not, or you're looking into getting into finance. It's an amazing opportunity to learn about the industry. So
Hmm.
I decided to take the SIE after my sophomore year, and I kind of planned to take it during the midsummer, so July-ish, I think is when I took it.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say, going into it, I didn't really know what to expect. I thought, I'm sure it's going to be tricky, difficult.
Hmm.
It's a FINRA exam, so it's designed to to really test your competencies.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think what they recommend is that you put in about 10 hours a week
Mm,
for at least 3 to 4 weeks, before you take that exam. And so going into that, I didn't think about how much of an actual sacrifice that was going to be. So I basically dedicated my entire June 2024 to studying. And when I wasn't studying, I was working at a campground at the time doing,
mm,
you know, lawn maintenance. And so whenever I was not working, I was studying. So I think it's important to, it's very doable exam. It's definitely very achievable. Um, but I think there's that, especially if you're not familiar with how FINRA exams work, it's important to know that it takes a lot of dedication and sacrifice.
yeah.
I had to tell friends that I can't do this. Like I gotta study here.
Yeah.
It's also like like you pay for it. Like the SIE, it's not
Mm,
super cheap. I think it's $100 for the study materials. I used Kaplan, and then I think
mm,
it's like $80 to actually sit for the exam. So you're spending almost $200. So you want to pass. You don't want this
yeah, for sure.
to go to waste. Um, so I think that was something that I didn't really consider. But luckily it worked out. It was a good time to take it for me, and I don't think I would have been able to do it during the school year because school's busy. You want to
Yeah, most
take that time,
definitely.
enjoy your time with your friends and stuff. So I would recommend taking it for anyone, and if you can, take it over the summer.
Hmm.
But just be ready, be ready to work. That's what it's all about. So
Yeah. How long is the actual exam?
yeah, so I think it's 75 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I
Hmm.
think it's 75 minutes and you have to pass. You have to get at least a 70, 75.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
I think there's 60 questions.
Hmm.
So you have a little bit more than a minute for each question. Um, but it doesn't feel like it's that long. I mean,
Yeah,
when you're studying for a month, it kind of just flies by. Um,
pretty quickly.
so
So yeah.
yeah, definitely.
All right, that's great. So, as the previous teaching assistant for the Cardinal Fund, and for those who may not know, that is the $1 million student investment fund at Catholic University, you may have seen students struggling with stock analysis. So, what is the one rookie mistake you see most often that keeps people from being great analysts?
That's a really good question. Yeah, so I got really cool opportunity to TA for the Cardinal Fund, and I got to see a lot of different um, a lot of different strategies and a lot of different insights from all the students that were in there.
Mm,
Um, uh, Mistakes, I mean, that's hard to say, right? I mean, I think that there can be sometimes bias. I guess the whole process of the Cardinal Fund is you pick a stock, you monitor it, you do research
mm,
dating back. I think it's like a 5-year timeline or something. Um, but a lot of the stocks that you look at them for a month, and if it's not doing well, you have to be honest. You have to say, I wouldn't recommend investing in this. And so I
mm.
think some students struggle with a bias because they want their stock to be picked by the board. They want to say
Uh-huh.
that their stock was picked. Um, and so I think that's definitely a struggle, right? There's some humility that has to go along with admitting that the stock you picked might not be a great fit for the fund,
Oh, okay.
and kind of put that over the ego side. But I think for the most part, I saw the students this year were amazing, um, and no complaints there. They all did very, very well, and it was
Mm,
really cool to just learn from them because everybody has their own investing strategy, and so that was really neat. But
yeah.
yeah,
I honestly think the Cardinal Fund is a really good opportunity. It's really cool that you were able to be a teaching assistant for that, and
100%.
that's also one of my personal goals is to hopefully join the Cardinal Fund one day when I'm
100%.
eligible.
Absolutely. So you're a sophomore or a rising junior, right?
No, rising sophomore. I just
You're a
finished
rising
freshman year.
sophomore.
Yeah,
Wow. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Yeah, you got tons of time. You got tons of
yeah,
time. Definitely apply when you're a senior because I think you'd be great on it.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. So on your LinkedIn, you mentioned that business is a vocation that must be carried out with honor and humility, and that also you are a devout Catholic as well. Same here also. How do you plan to keep those Catholic values front and center in the fast-paced world of financial services?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. You know, it's super important
Mhm.
to embody your faith in your work. Um, yeah, I mean, a couple practical ways is to just, keep receiving the sacraments and staying close to the faith.
Mhm.
And then, in wealth management and finance, you're dealing with a lot of people, a lot of different people, a lot of different walks of life, a lot of different, faiths and creeds. But it's
Yeah.
important to treat everybody equal, treat everybody with respect. We all have human dignity, and so um, treating everyone with respect and taking that time to walk with them and to learn, but also staying grounded, staying close to your faith. Like I said, receive the sacraments. I think something I want to try to do is try to go to daily mass in the mornings before work, or saying the
Mhm.
rosary on the way home from work, or whether you're on the train or something like that. So
Yeah.
finding little ways to sneak prayer into your day, I think is important. As a professional, but
Mhm.
it's super super important. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. So you were selected for the Seaway on Wall Street trip 3 years in a row. What was the single most unspoken rule of the industry you learned while visiting firms like JP Morgan or BlackRock on Wall Street?
Hmm. I mean, that's a really great question. I think a lot of the people we spoke with at those bigger firms, right? I definitely noticed that there was a trend. A lot of them were, um, from Ivy Leagues or target schools, and
Mm,
it was kind of tough. I mean, it was cool to go and see those places and network, um,
yeah.
but sometimes it was hard to see like a path towards um, those specific positions because the people that we were talking to were so qualified, and I think that
Mm,
was definitely kind of intimidating, coming from a small school.
yeah.
Um, but I think the whole point of the visit and the program itself is to just get an idea of like what this is all about. Like, what does this look like?
Mm,
Um, and it's not a story, but it's not a movie, right? This is real
yeah.
life. This is work. So I think it was really cool to just kind of get some insight to like what are these super high functioning finance professionals, like what does their day look like?
Mm,
Um, how do they get to the heights that they've reached? And so I think that's kind of what the program is all about. Less so than just go in there and try and meet the right person and get a job out of it. It's more just a
yeah.
learning experience. Um, but I definitely noticed that all those high-ranking people that hosted us were from extremely qualified backgrounds, and you could tell that
Mm,
they have worked extremely hard,
mm,
to the point of exhaustion. And so I think that was really eye-opening for me. Was just seeing
mm,
like these people really dedicated, made so many sacrifices to get to their position. Um, and so it's definitely inspiring, but a little intimidating.
mm.
But just a great program overall. Super, super happy I was able to attend. And again, for anybody who's considering applying, definitely 100% recommend.
Yeah. That was also a follow-up question I had. I'm also thinking about applying this upcoming year, this upcoming fall. So could you explain like what's the schedule like for the trip?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a really long day because it's a round trip to New York City. So
Mm,
um, I believe the bus there's a charter bus they take, which is really nice. You don't have to get on the train or anything. So I think the Busch School will get a charter bus that departs at 3 a.m. from the Busch School.
oh wow,
So
3 a.m.
yeah, super early, super super early. So bring
All
a blanket,
right.
bring headphones, earmuffs.
All right.
Um, so you board the bus around 3:30, get on the
Mhm,
road. You don't get into New York until around 8.
mhm.
Um, and it's a quick turnaround, so you really want to be prepared because as soon as you get into New York, you're stopping at JP Morgan at 8:30. You're
Mhm.
talking to Daryl Carroll. So you want
Yeah,
to be up and moving. You want to be ready to go.
yeah.
Yeah, so from about 9 a.m. to 12, you're making the rounds. You're going from JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, trying to think of a few others. Obviously, BlackRock we did this year.
Mhm.
And then from about, I want to say like 2 to 4 or 5, there's kind of some downtime a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then you get a chance to, actually, no, sorry, I got that mixed up. So from
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
I want to say 12 to 2, there's some downtime. But then at 3 o'clock, you get to go into the New York Stock Exchange, which is really cool. You get
Mhm.
to walk around there, meet the Catholic University alum that are working on the floor, and then of course you get to see the closing bell at 4, which is so cool. Really neat to
Yeah.
see that. Um, yeah, and then there's a network reception later at night at the Cornell Club. Um, but it's a action-packed day. But I think for
Mhm.
anybody who's interested in finance, like you'll find a way to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, it sounds super exciting. I can't wait to hopefully attend that one day for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you interned at a search fund called ChangeBridge Growth Partners. And so how did that experience in private equity change the way you now look at a standard stock or a company now?
Yeah, so that was a really cool opportunity for me. So the search fund, yeah, we were looking for primarily smaller companies, distressed companies,
Mhm.
in order to find, a value proposition there. Um, yeah, I think it made me look at like smaller, like family businesses a little bit different, and kind of
Uh-huh.
just the trust that goes into selling your business. So while at the search fund, we were having a hard time finding an acquisition target because um, it's hard to instill trust in a potential, potential former owners that are looking to sell. It's hard to establish
Mhm.
that bridge there. So I think I definitely see just how attached like people can become with their company. It's like a
Oh,
part
okay.
of them. Um, so I think that was to kind of like open my eyes a little bit to just kind of the ownership process,
Mhm.
But as it applies to stocks and companies today, I don't think it really changed it too much. So we were more on the small scale, like we were going after these
Yeah.
massive conglomerates.
Yeah.
So nothing too crazy like that, but definitely opened my eyes to like ownership in
Mhm.
private equity.
Yeah. Must have been that's a great experience honestly to have for sure.
Definitely.
So you spent years as a maintenance worker at a campground, and you've touched on that previously. So how did that boots on the ground work ethic prepare you for the white collar world of financial services at Fidelity?
Yeah, so that's really it's a great question. Yeah, I worked in maintenance and I did a lot of customer service there. So again, I got to talk to a lot of different people
Mhm.
from all around the country. So I learned how to listen to people, take a request, and to fulfill that request.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's something that I'm taking into my current position now is after I get licensed, I'll be a client service representative. So I'll be on the phones and I'll probably be doing a lot of the similar work,
Mhm.
taking requests and answering them promptly. Um, so I learned about that part of customer service, and then just attention to detail, day in and day out, doing lawn maintenance. There's a lot, that goes into that, and just
Mhm.
not taking shortcuts, attention to detail. Um, I think those are all really strong lessons that I learned, you know, in those 4 years working there. And I try to embody that still today, and I learned a lot. So, and it was also just great exercise. I was in
Yeah.
great shape for hockey and stuff because of just being outside all the time. So I definitely miss that part of that job. But yeah, very
Yeah, that's
great.
great. Yeah, super unique experience to see that on there, man.
Mhm.
So you're already looking towards the CFA. And for those that don't know, that stands for Chartered Financial Analyst. So, what is the strategy for the next 5 years or for your next 5 years? And how do you stay motivated to keep testing your limits?
Yeah. Um, Next 5 years is it's a long time, right? It's hard to say where I'll be in 5 years, but definitely, right? You want to keep challenging yourself. So I want to, pass my exams.
Mhm.
Um, I'm hoping to work in wealth management for a year or so and kind of test the waters and see if it's something that I want to stay in.
Uh,
Um, and I haven't committed to the CFA route yet because that's more of an analytical position. That's more of like uh, I would say that's more of like a markets related job, asset management.
Uh,
Um, and so I would probably have to move laterally into an asset management position
mhm,
from Fidelity to, a different area. Um, and so I haven't decided if I want to do that yet. So I'm gonna probably, test the waters, like I said, for a year in wealth management, see if it's something that I
mhm,
want to build a career around. And if not, maybe I'll look into, a role in asset management, and then try to find a job elsewhere. Um, but you know, definitely, these are all questions that are probably I'll take them as they come.
yeah.
I'm not looking too long term, just take it day by day.
Mhm,
But if it's not the CFA, maybe I'll go for my CFP, which is
mhm,
more aligned with where I'm at right now in wealth management, which is the CFP is kind of the gold standard in
mhm,
wealth management. So,
yeah.
if I stay on this track, hopefully I can, pursue the CFP. And that's something that would be really neat to have. So.
Yeah, that's great. So finally, David, when an underclassman watches this a year from now, what is the one timeless truth about the Bush School experience you want them to hold on to?
Um, yeah, that's great. Well, I would say first and foremost, your professors.
Mhm,
The Bush School has some of the most amazing professors, in
yeah.
the U.S. and probably the world. Um, so stay close to them. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. And then second of all, like it's your peers, right? Like
Mhm,
you're probably going to take a class in the Bush School with at least probably with your entire class of fellow Bush School students, right? So you're going to
yeah.
know everybody. And that's a great network to have, right? Everyone's going to be, very close. So stay in touch. Make
Mhm,
sure to take advantage of LinkedIn, to connect with your peers. And then just stay involved. There's so many ways to be involved at the Bush School. There's
mhm,
so many clubs. So try to just build as many different branches as you can, um, because it'll prove to be very helpful after school.
yeah.
I know my network from the Bush School has been really cool, and it's super nice to take that from the school.
Mhm,
So
yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. And all right, well, David, that's all I have for you today, man. Thank you again for your time and for sharing all these insights and advice for the next generations of students here at the Bush School of Business. And once again, congrats on graduation and best of luck at Fidelity. And I hope to stay in touch, man.
thank you so much, Luis. This is really great. Excited to see how it came out, and yeah, we'll stay in touch, man. Have a great rest of your summer.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you. So, to everyone watching, that was David Zappe. Now it is your turn to take these insights and apply them to your own path. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Career Blueprint. Thank you so much for watching.